afternoon and good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to TFH, the Full 100. Today's Saturday, the 18th of April. Little bit of a murky Saturday for us here in Britain. However, we're on lockdown and we're going to make the best of it. And I'm glad you're tuning into my show because then I can bring you some updates, up-to-date information, and keep you posted on what's going on around the world. Today's topic is going to be in two parts. First part is about mixed messaging coming out of the two major hotspots right now in the world. It's funny that everywhere else where they've managed to keep a lid on this, even when it hit them before they knew, but when then we had the benefit of watching them battle, even in those places, there was one messaging all the way through. China, South Korea, Germany, Canada, New Zealand, all these countries have given you one narrative all the way from top to the mayors in each of the little cities in the country. We have two countries at the moment that are giving you mixed messaging, and they seem surprised to be the two hotspots. America giving huge mixed messaging, the UK giving huge mixed messaging. But before we get into it, I want to show you a clip, start the show off in a happy way. This, guys, is my road in Hertfordshire applauding our superheroes. Take a look at this. Brilliant. Doesn't that warm your hearts? That was Thursday night, and that was my road, my neighbours applauding the NHS frontline staff, as well as all other frontline staff who are keeping us going at this moment. So congratulations to my neighbours, and I'm proud of you all. Right, let's get down to today's topic, guys. So let's get down to it, okay? Now, let me get down to the numbers that we have so far. As of this morning, the UK is now reporting over 100,000 deaths. 100,000 active cases. 100,000 active cases, guys. And deaths, they say 14,000. If you saw a couple of my last videos, you're aware that I've informed you that the UK is keeping the numbers down by as much as 52%. Well, surprise, surprise, it came out 2 days ago on Thursday that China revised its death toll in Wuhan, the epicenter within China itself. They've doubled it. They literally have disclosed that they got the numbers wrong by 50%. Guess what the BBC did? The BBC delved into it. They asked why. They asked, is there a cover up? You know, they did what they should have done. I'm proud of them on that. However, I'm disgusted at them that when they did tell us that the UK isn't including nursing homes and nursing homes and deaths in the community, that they just said it as a passing news. They didn't delve into it. They didn't ask questions about it. They didn't ask, why aren't we including these people? They didn't ask all the questions I'm asking on this platform, right? However, when it happens somewhere else, they're very quick to say, oh, look, how incompetent is that? How bad is that? Guys, you can trust this channel will tell you just as it is. So even though they're putting out 14,000 deaths on the BBC, I'm telling you right here, right now, on TFH, the death toll is 21,000, because I'm putting exactly 50% on that number, not 52%, which is the estimated number by which they're keeping it down by. I'm giving them that 2%. Like I always say, guys, we're never going to know the full truth in these matters, but our job is to make sure that the gap between the truth and what you know is as narrow as possible. The wider that gap, the more detrimental it is to your decision making. the wider that gap, the more detrimental it is to you and your family's well-being in every shape, way, or form. So our job is to narrow that gap as much as possible, okay? Which is what we aim to do on this platform. So the UK deaths, they say 14. I'm telling you 21. Total active cases 100,000. Then we go to the US. We've got 706,779 active cases. Nearly 707,000 active cases. Deaths, we have 37,079 deaths in the US, people. 37,079 deaths. Now, I want to say something real quick. These two countries are seeing numbers that nobody else has seen, and they haven't even touched the levels that they need to be kind of starting to be comfortable slightly, that is reaching somewhere, right? By the time, just so you understand these numbers, yeah? By the time Italy got to, even if we go by their 14,000, remember I'm telling you it's 21,000, right? Even though, if we even go with their 14,000 people, Spain and Italy didn't hit 14,000 until they literally was at the end of this game. When they were still doing all of this, they were at 9s and 8s and 7,000s. They started to sort of do that when they got to round about the 13,000s. We're at 14,000, and if that's the peak, we're still here. That's according to their numbers. What I'm telling you is, Spain and Italy, by the time they were hitting 7 and 8,000, they was already here. So their peaks, their plateaus, was the numbers dying during the plateau is what took them past the 13s and 14s, because they were still getting, but rather than, they were still getting 500 deaths a day, but rather than the 700 and something, 920 that they were getting when they was nearing the heights of the plateau, of the peak, right? They were getting the 900s death a day. By the time they got to here and started to do that, their deaths were coming down to 5s and 6s and that. And now, at that time, they still weren't at 14. We're at 14, according to their numbers, while we're here. So imagine, my numbers are correct. Imagine if we are over 21,000 and we're still here. This is why I'm talking about the mixed messaging. So, even though we are in this crisis, do you know that we still don't have enough equipment in April? We're nearing the 20s of April now. Monday's the 20th of April. We've been on lockdown, we've been on lockdown since late March. They've known about this since January. They've been talking and dilly-dallying back and forth since end of February into the beginning of March. So we're now 6, 7, 8 weeks into this crisis in total, and we still don't have enough garments. Take a look at this video.
Concerns over PPE provisions. One NHS trust has told the BBC it fears that its staff don't have enough gowns to get through today, while another says they've been forced to reuse disposable masks. Brands like Burberry and Barbour are manufacturing garments for healthcare workers to help with the demand, but there are still problems with distribution. Government says it's working around the clock to get frontline staff the equipment they need.
Now, I've spoken to people who are saying they're doing their best, who are saying, oh, don't be too harsh on them. They're trying what they can. I had a government minister on Question Time on Friday say this. Germany, we know Germany is testing 500,000 a week. They've been doing that a long time, 500,000 a week. We're not even at 30,000 a week yet, right? Still 8 weeks or so in, yeah? And they've asked this UK minister, Secretary of State, why can Germany test 500,000 a week, 500,000 people every week? Why can Germany do it and we can't? This is the answer. And this is the sort of thing they will say to their voters, which then goes on to placate them. It goes on to calm them. Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah, why should we compare? Yeah, it's not right we should compare Germany to Britain. This is what the guy says. It says Germany testing 500,000 per week. It's unfair to compare Germany to the UK. They have a more diagnostic industry, he says. So Germany has more industry. Basically what he's saying is Germany has more pharmaceutical industry. Their pharmaceutical industry is bigger than the UK's. Right. That's the reason we shouldn't compare like for like. Not because Germany is the third largest economy and we're the fifth. So you can compare the wealth of boosting your stuff. Not because we've got huge pharmaceutical companies there that are bigger than the ones in Germany. Germany might have more. Our ones are the largest ones out there, right? But we shouldn't compare the two. Our ones, the UK knew when Germany knew, but we shouldn't compare the two. The UK has now seen what Germany did all a month ago in keeping their numbers down. Germany's numbers is below 4,000 people. Below 4,000. 3,500, round about that, which I checked yesterday. I haven't checked it today because it wasn't relevant that much to this show. But Germany's numbers are 3,500. They got 80 million people. So they got more people than we have. They had an open border. An open border. The same border that we want to close because we don't want people coming in this country. They have the Schengen zone in the EU, so that means their borders are open. So with an open border, with 80 million people to look after, more than we have, 15 more than we have, 50 more million. There's certain countries that are 15 million big, that's it. So they have the size of a country, a small country, on top of our numbers here. Yet they're able to keep up. Yet there's no nurses over there crying out for gear till now, right? Now, these are the explanations and the excuses that we mustn't accept anymore, guys. We can't be accepting these things anymore. I keep saying, it's like our ministers, our Secretary of State, our Prime Minister, it's like they only went to Brexit University. Now that, and you went to Brexit University, you can only work in Brexit industry or Brexit matters. If you go to normal universities, you can work in any other area, any other field of work. It's like all of our ministers all went Brexit University. That's it. When Brexit was on, they were highly efficient. They lied through their teeth like they're lying now, right? But they were so efficient in covering their lies, they succeeded. Now that it's all over, and they can't lie to you about who's dying, and they have to come out and do real human work, they're failing us big time. Let me show you what I mean by mixed messaging coming out of the UK and the US. So you understand, yeah, that this is not all about efficiency, not being efficient. This isn't all about not being efficient. This is also about having no common sense at the top. Have a look at this mixed messaging from the UK first. Have a look.
Now, Layla, it's interesting, this one, isn't it? Because when you think of all the pressure and the criticism the government has had as whether or not it quickly went into lockdown, now the issue of face masks is being brought up, and people saying, look, if we're going to have to wear them, let's just do it sooner rather than later. But the science is conflicting.
Yeah, and I think the message from government, you heard from Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer for England yesterday, that the science is evolving. He was saying this is a live issue being considered. Scientists advising the government, you heard from Grant Shapps, are considering this now, weighing up the evidence all the time. So the evidence for how it can slow the transmission of coronavirus is still under review.
There is mixed evidence on the effectiveness of masks, and the government would be guided by the science to ensure the public are given the correct advice.
There is also evidence out there that wearing it could be counterproductive. And so rather than sort of jump to the incorrect conclusion and do more harm than good, I think it's right to ask the scientists to provide guidance on it. It looks like it's quite a marginal case. But if the scientists come out and say, yeah, this is actually what people need to do, then fine, we'll absolutely ask people to do that.
Now, this is a government minister at this point in time, having seen how China, South Korea and Singapore and Japan, seeing how Spain, don't even just focus on the Asian countries, because we might think, oh, well, they're Asian, they're used to wearing masks. Have a look at Italy. Have a look at France. Have a look at Germany. Have a look at Spain. And see if anybody's arguing or any ministers at the top is coming and telling the population that, yeah, we don't know if face masks will help us yet. We're not sure what good they might do. We are consulting with our medical experts. Let me tell you what the medical experts said a few weeks ago, just to help the government. Public Health England in February told the industry, that's the nursing home industry, right? The nursing home industry and the care industry, told the industry there is no need to wear masks as it will serve no purpose. Public Health England in February, at a time when we were watching that masks, gloves and protection will keep people safe. If they were saying this to nursing home staff back in February, how crazy really is that? They were told nursing homes and those being cared for in the public would be safe from infection. They will be safe from infection. That's what they were told in February. Those in nursing homes and those being taken care of. Guess what? They're the ones dying in droves, my friends. They are the ones dying in droves. Take a look at this clip from a nursing home in the US.
An anonymous tip leading police in New Jersey to make a horrible discovery. 17 bodies piled up at a nursing home. CNN's Shimon Prokupez is live outside the nursing home in Andover, New Jersey, with details. What happened, Shimon?
Yeah, it's just really sad, and just another indication here of how this virus, this deadly virus, has ravished so many nursing homes across the nation. The latest here in New Jersey, we're in Sussex County, which is about 50 miles outside of New York City. The police here receiving this anonymous tip, as you said, Allison, which ultimately led them to the discovery of these 17 bodies inside a makeshift morgue. The police saying that what happened here was that the nursing home was just overwhelmed. As people started to die, they needed a place to store the body. And so they have a makeshift morgue here at this facility that can hold only 4 bodies. It became so overwhelming that they put all of these 17 bodies into this one area, and the police were called. They got this anonymous tip. They came here, and that is when they found those 17 bodies. They did remove 13 of the bodies. There are still 4 bodies here. They've also brought a refrigerator here, a refrigerated truck to help the nursing home.
That's bodies found in a nursing home. The nursing home was so overwhelmed by people dying after each other that they piled up all them bodies in their storage meant for just 4. And yet, this is what Public Health England. So Public Health England are telling people not to wear a mask. You got minister yesterday came on TV to tell us that they're not sure about wearing masks yet. Don't hold your horses, people. We're not sure, you know. When we let you guys back out, we don't know if masks are going to help, really. So don't worry about masks for now. We're taking medical advice. Public Health England will give you the right advice when the time comes. Well, people, read my lips and listen to me carefully. If these bastards come and tell you not to wear masks, remember you heard it from me. To disobey that order or that advice is suicidal. Let me tell you something. Me personally, everyone's got a choice to make their decisions. Me personally, I will be wearing a mask between now and Christmas time. Between now and Christmas time. And maybe further than that. And if I'm ever getting on a train, mate, you're not seeing me on a train any longer without gloves. So, Boris and your Chief Medical Officer and your Public Health England, all of you together can go take a flying what? Okay? If at this stage you cannot tell people, we're waiting on advice, but be sensible. You have seen the world. We know protecting yourself is a good way to go. Just like fitting a car alarm on your car, in your car. It doesn't mean the car's going to get stolen, but guess what? If something comes its way that's about to take you away from where you've parked it, you're protected. Shouldn't that be the advice today, guys? Really? Now have a look at mixed messaging in the US.
President Trump continues to send mixed messages on China and the coronavirus. So what's the truth? John Avalon has our reality check.
Freezing up to $500 million in funding to the World Health Organization during the middle of a global pandemic probably would strike most folks as a bad idea. But to Team Trump, it's good politics, distracting and deflecting from their flawed response by focusing blame on China. Now, there's just one problem. President Trump keeps contradicting the message. One day acting like China's cheerleader.
Late last night, I had a very good talk with President Xi. It's a tough situation. I think they're doing a very good job.
And the next minute, firing off fundraising emails, calling out China's lies, saying Trump's the only one to hold them accountable. Now, if this Jekyll and Hyde routine doesn't make sense, it's because you're paying attention. So let's cut through the noise and lay out.
Worried here that wearing masks would become the latest red state, blue state divide. Well, consider that in Michigan, protesters gathered in the state capitol to voice their opposition to stay-at-home orders issued to slow the spread of coronavirus. There were similar protests in Virginia and Kentucky. And this image from Ohio of an angry crowd at the window of the State House, it went viral. In Utah, protesters held signs that read, "Resist like it's 1776," and "America will never be a socialist country." A reopened North Carolina Facebook page quickly attracted 42,000 members. On Friday, the president fired off a series of tweets, "Liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia," among them. The president was asked about the lockdown protests. He said this.
I think elements of what they've done are too much. These are people expressing their views. I see where they are, and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me. But it's, they've been treated a little bit rough.
So, right from the top to the bottom, mixed messaging. Is it surprising that the two countries that are going to suffer out of this the most are the two countries that are mixed messaging? Is it surprising that the two countries that are going to suffer from this the most are right-wing governments? Right? People need you need to wake up. Right-wing governments, their agenda is never for the population. When right-wing people sit down, what they're mapping out for people is all about themselves, all about their agenda. You can have Jeremy Corbyn sit down. Now, we might think he's a bit nuts and he wants to give free internet to everybody. But he's not trying to give free internet to his cronies, to CEOs and companies. He's not. When he's trying to do for the NHS, he's trying to bring the NHS up to a standard for everybody. He's not trying to bring the NHS up in certain Chelsea and Westminster hospitals and certain areas where, his voters live, and there's some millionaires in Surrey. And okay? You need to be aware who you're voting for. I know this is not a political campaign, but you know what? Who America voted in 4 years ago is killing them today. Who we voted in just 4 months ago is causing deaths daily. And the insult is they're actually hiding 52% of it from you guys. Now, I would have a look at this video of a governor or a leader of the House of Representatives in the US, in the state of Michigan, where the governor is a Democrat, which is Labor. This person is conservative, basically Tory, right-wing, okay? So you got left-wing governor and you got right-wing House of Reps. Have a look at what she's saying.
Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman pushed back against the state's shutdown, saying this.
This shutdown has become one of total insanity, in my opinion, for there is no backup of data as to why we are shut down from the start. No plan in place how to move through the shutdown or how even to come out of it.
These people are so confused that Trump is supporting his supporters, those who voted Trump. In some states, he got voted by 80% because they're red states anyway, right? And then in states like New York, even though New York's Democratic, which is Labour, you still have people that will vote Tories, innit? Yeah? So Imagine a state like New York that's been doing great. They're actually at the plateau now. In any time now, in the next couple of days, but their plateau is high. So whereas they could have plateaued that so 700, they're plateauing quite high. Okay, but at least they're plateauing. Once they plateau, it can't go back up. Hospital admissions are down. These dumb idiots living in a state where your governor did the right thing and he's saving tons of lives. These idiots are actually protesting his moves and coming out and protesting that they want to come out. They're tired of the... Why are they doing that? Because the man at the top, Trump, is putting out mixed messages because they are Trump supporters, these people. So they're not supporting a Democratic governor. They're looking at states where are red states that haven't shut down none at all because they're Trump people. They're looking at those states and saying, we want to be over there in those states. Some of those states are the least visited states. If anybody has watched the pattern of this virus, the pattern has followed human traffic, if you're paying attention. It went from China and it hit Asia first. Why? Because that's where it's like if you're in America, it's going to hit Mexico and Canada first. It makes so much sense. It's organic, yeah? So it hit South Korea, it hit Japan, it hit Singapore, it hit Hong Kong, all them places where they all travel. The next place, it went to Europe because Europe is closest to China, yeah? Europe is closer to China than the US. And more people, more Chinese probably coming to Europe than they go to America. Then even within Europe, you could see the progression from Southern Europe to Northern Europe, right? It got to the end of Europe, jumped to America. It's in America, where did it hit? The most traveled places in America, New York, California. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows the most visitors to the US are gonna go to New York and California. Financial district, movie, and holiday, and all that in California. Those are the two states it hit first. Then it started to hit the Chicagos and the Floridas, which is the next places that people visit. So within America, you got states like Montana. No one goes to those places. Utah. No one goes to those places. However, it doesn't mean that yours ain't coming. So because those states are open and they've had limited amount to speak of, like a couple thousand or whatever, they actually believe that they're exempt from it. But what is actually happening is because there is no testing on the ground, they can't tell you how many people have got it now already in their population because they're doing absolutely nothing. They've changed nothing. There is no testing. There is absolutely nothing because they're right-wing nuts, right? No one's taking a lesson to say, if the leadership was to sit down and watch the progression in the world, you would know that even though the hotspots in New York, California, Chicago, Michigan, Florida, you know eventually that within your own country, people are traveling. Never mind people coming from outside into your country. Yeah, when they're coming from outside, they're going to certain hotspots, certain places. No one's going to Utah much. No one's going to Nebraska much. No one's going to Montana much. However, within your country, this is happening. People are zigzagging, people are traveling, people from California got family in Montana. That's going on within the country. But this, because the leadership are not all there, more people are bound to die. I've spoken to people who say, should we not call them out? Why are we calling them out now? Anthony, you shouldn't call them out now. They're trying, let them do a good job. Am I supposed to wait until another 100 frontline workers die? Why? When do you call them out? When the death toll has got to its end? I don't understand that sort of mentality. I mean, if your son was washing your car, not that my kids wash my car, but let's say if your son was washing your car and you're watching him from the window and he's already doing things wrong, do you sit back and say, oh, he's trying, let him finish off the car and then we'll tell him what he did wrong? Do you do that? Or do you go out and take the brush or whatever it is, the cloth, and show him how it's done. Is that not what you do in real life? So why should it be different? Because they're the government. This is even more important, right? After the job's finished, what are you going to tell them? Oh, those extra 10,000 people who passed away, we could have saved them if you only did this, that, and the other? Or do you tell them when it's at 20,000 to avoid it getting to 30? I'll choose the latter, I'm afraid. Okay? So guys, the mixed messaging is killing people. It's important who you vote, right? Now, this is the leader of the United States at a time when they're still climbing, right? Take a look at this.
Has the federal response been to coronavirus? It really is an important question. How can it be better? How could more lives have been saved? How can more lives be saved going forward? The president really refuses to answer these questions directly. Instead, he blames others, but they are important questions. CNN's Sarah Murray, live in Washington. And Sarah, you've been digging into this.
That's right, John. We know the president likes to blame pretty much everyone besides himself for the coronavirus crisis, but my investigation with Scott Glover showed that there are a number of experts who believe that lives could have been saved if the president had taken this seriously and acted quicker from the beginning.
We think we have it very well under control.
In the months since President Trump assured workers at a Detroit area factory that his administration had a handle on the coronavirus,
We think it's going to have a very good ending for us.
a handful of the factory workers have fallen ill with COVID-19. The plant ceased production, laying off workers like Don McMurray.
I don't think our country or this world prepared us for what we're going through now. So I think on all fronts, leadership has failed.
The company's stock price has plunged by nearly half, and Southeast Michigan became a coronavirus hotspot. The devastation caused by the coronavirus pandemic is the kind of thing experts have spent years worrying about and planning for. But no simulation, no tabletop exercise accounted for a crisis like this with a president like Trump.
Everything we did was right.
A president who would use false statements, self-aggrandizement, and bullying to understate the threat posed by the coronavirus.
He downplayed the severity of the crisis. He minimized it. He ignored his experts.
As the death toll climbs past 25,000, Laura Kahn, an expert in leadership during epidemics, says Trump made pretty much every mistake a president can in this situation.
This response would have been different if we had a president who...
Guys, in America, unbelievably, this thing has now become a fight between blue states and red states. America's blue states are Democratic states, so Labour states. The red states are Trump states, which is conservatives and Tories. Over here is the other way around. Over here, conservatives are blue and Labour's red. In America, Labour is blue as opposed to red here, and conservatives are blue over here, but they're red over there. Okay, it's now a battle between blue and red states. Only under Trump can this thing become a battle between left and right wing. Only under Trump. I mean, even here, we ain't even gone that far. Thank God for that. We've still got a bit of common sense in this country. How can you start playing politics with something like this? And the worst thing of all, they all know this. So look what I'm going to show you now. Take a look at this. Newly out from South Korea. Take a look.
141 patients who had recovered from coronavirus. They had it and got better. They've now tested positive again. Back with us, Dr. Sir Sutter and Dr. Manisha Dutani. And Dr. Sutter, what exactly does this mean? And I know there's some questions. Even in South Korea, they have some questions about the reliability of the testing before and after. But if people who had it and recovered can get it again, that alters the whole equation here, doesn't it?
Well, I think there's some important caveats we should discuss with this. They didn't necessarily say that people who recovered were sick and tested positive. They said that when they tested probably their stool and or their urine, they found results or reports of evidence of virus still present. We don't know if that means it's infectious. We know that patients, once they recover, can shed. That means shed. It means the virus can still be found in the stool as well as in the feces. it doesn't necessarily mean that they are no longer infectious. So we don't necessarily know the...
This is a brand new virus, people. One of the biggest questions around this virus is, well, can you get reinfected once you are infected? There's your answer. So far, South Korea, which is all them countries, China, South Korea, they're keeping an eye on this stuff. This key is so key, this. So far, they now found 141 people who had it, gone, now been reinfected. So what does that tell you if you're paying attention to that little data right there? That tells you that we don't know nothing about this at all. It tells you that if you've caught it already, don't go out unprotected. It tells you if you haven't caught it, not just can you catch it from those who don't know they got it, you can also catch it from those who have had it. You can catch it from the holding rail on a train. You can catch it from just about everything. Your post, your parcels, a bottle of drink in a supermarket. Literally, my friends, you can catch this from anything. And at this point, we're telling people it's okay to go back out. The economy needs to open back up. It's okay to wait a minute about, we don't know if facial masks are going to help. We're waiting on advice from Public Health England. Really? I mean, I'm not a politician and I'm just an ordinary Joe Blogs. I'm no one. But I'm sat here in my house. And as the head of my family with my wife, the advice we'll be giving to our friends and family who care to listen to us is protect yourself at all times, like they say in the boxing ring. Keep the distance at all times. Pretend it's still everywhere. Act like everyone's a potential killer of yourself. Those are the 4 things. Protect yourself at all times. Act like everyone's a killer to you. Pretend like it's everywhere. Carry on keeping the distance. Those are the 4 things we're going to live by. My advice to you guys is, if the government says anything different to those 4 things, with what we already know, just disobey them. And if they ask why you're disobeying them and why you're wearing a mask, just look at them, ignore them, and keep it moving. Because don't waste your time. You see the time you waste talking to them, they might infect you. Because clearly that person won't be wearing a mask. Now I'm going to go to my second topic, guys, which is the numbers. We're skewing our numbers badly, guys. Terribly. And I'm really disturbed about this. As you know, I've been disturbed about it. I mentioned at the beginning of this that China has now declared that Wuhan, the numbers they gave in Wuhan had now been declared as 50% higher, 50% higher than what they declared initially, right? So the BBC broke this news. Surprise, surprise. They love breaking news somewhere else. They broke this news that China skewered their numbers to keep the numbers down. And they sent a journalist to China to investigate these allegations. What really got me is that they were the first ones to break it to us that the UK are not registering deaths in nursing homes and deaths in the community. But they didn't investigate. They didn't elaborate further. They didn't explain. They just gave you the news story. But they said it in such a way, believe me, people, that if you just had turned around to get your drink on the side of your bed, or if you just turned around to get a drink, you would have missed it. If you weren't paying attention, you would have missed it. Why is it okay to expose China disclosing wrong numbers, but it's okay for us not to disclose nursing home deaths and those in the community? Why is it okay for us to do that? Aren't we doing exactly the same as China? Aren't we lying about our true death tolls? If we're keeping that away from you, I'll tell you what. Let me play you something else that they're doing. Take a look at this.
Amid a dispute over the accuracy of government death statistics, are all COVID-19 related deaths even being recorded? This week we reported allegations from an official deeply involved in death registrations in the south of England who claimed that coronavirus was sometimes being left off the records of non-hospital deaths, even if it was suspected. Tonight, a GP has told this programme that they are aware of doctors who are not attributing the virus to deaths outside hospitals, even though they strongly suspect it. Our Scotland correspondent Kieran Jenkins has more.
She was very independent and very proper, and she was very dignified, so it didn't like imposing on people and things. You know, they said it would take the old really easily. You know, it comes home to you like that it takes your mum. It really, really hurts.
Jill Flux was exactly the sort of person society is trying to shield from this virus. She previously had lung cancer, and at age 76 was recently diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. They weren't expecting her to pass away immediately at that point?
Oh, no, she wasn't that ill.
Jill and her son Toby hoped she still had many months left to live. Did you believe?
So, welcome back. Not just that they're not registering the deaths in community and in nursing homes, but a lot of people who are dying in the community, where they could have went back retrospectively, like what China's done, gone back retrospectively to recount, they say. Obviously, we don't believe them. I'm sure they probably declared a quarter, not half. But at least they're able to count those numbers, aren't they, people? How do we go back and count the numbers and give you right figures later on? Those who are excusing what they're doing. If you're excusing what they're doing, ask yourself this. With the clip I've just showed you, how do they go back retrospectively and give you the right number? How are they going to do that? If the death certificates at the time are not showing COVID-19 on them? How do they go back and give you the true tally if they already covered the evidence of COVID-19? I'll tell you something else. Many of you know about my sister-in-law. Her medical papers that she was sent home with mentioned pneumonia. It says pneumonia. However, when my wife phones the hospital to verify that it was, because when she went to hospital at 3 in the morning, we didn't get to find out till Monday morning. When my wife phoned the hospital to ask what she had, they said, oh, the results are not in yet. On Tuesday, when she called back, and on the Monday, she couldn't speak to her sister. She could only see her because she couldn't speak. Tuesday, before she could speak, my wife had phoned back again to say, what is it? Oh, it's confirmed. Guys, they're covering up a lot of stuff. They are playing cover up, this government, people. We need to be aware of this, okay? They are playing cover up. They're sending people home with the wrong details on their paperwork. That people are dying, and doctors, even though they died of COVID, are putting pneumonia on their paperwork. They are covering stuff up. They're covering up people who are dying in nursing homes. This, my friends, is totally unacceptable, because if we don't have the true picture of how badly these people are performing, how do we know how good or badly they have performed? We need to hold them accountable, my friends. We need to, and we need to be aware of this stuff. And the national press, the newspapers, who backed Boris Johnson, and now you don't want to disclose stuff. Shame on you all. Shame on you all. Okay, because you tricked the people into voting for this government. We knew Boris wasn't the best guy for the job. Okay, neither was Jeremy Corbyn, to be honest. Okay, we just had two very incompetent people to choose from, right? But you backed this guy. It's time to have him shape up and do the right thing. I want to end today's show with a very special happy birthday to somebody. His name's Captain Thomas Moore, Tom Moore. He turns 100 years old. He turns 100 in a couple of days. He's an amazing guy, amazing guy. I'm sure you guys have been keeping in touch. There is a Facebook page, guys, asking for him to get a knighthood. This guy has single-handedly raised, to date, over £21 million for the NHS. £21 million for the NHS, guys. He puts our government to shame. People are asking, how do we spend that 21 million? I say we take some of that and go buy our nurses some protection gear. Okay, our nurses still don't have enough clinical gowns. We don't have enough face masks. Not enough facial protection. You know the plastic stuff? I've seen doctors making this thing out of plastic bottles, for God's sakes. We do not have, some hospitals are running out of protection gear this weekend. So, guys, Captain Thomas More, I salute you, my friend. Okay? And I'm going to put up a couple of pictures of this gentleman. And I believe you guys should all go and sign up to that Facebook page. Okay? And ask for him to get a knighthood. And if you see any sort of petitions flying around, sign it. He deserves this. He was in the Second World War. Obviously, it was just one of the numbers. And at 99, he went out to raise just £1,000 for the NHS and ends up raising £21 million. This guy is a two-time, you know, like a boxing two-time world champion. This is a two-time hero. So, guys, I'm happy to sign off on a good note, on a note that brings a smile to our faces. However, let's not forget that we are in a huge fight. We have another 3 weeks of lockdown. If they try and let you guys out before testing, before you have been tested, you, and you over there. If they tell you to come out before you've been tested, tell them to go away. Yeah? Tell them to send their kids out before they're tested. Okay? Right. I'm going to finish off by wishing you guys a fantastic, happy weekend. And I'm going to leave you guys with my usual sign out sort of poster. Something for you guys to think about. But this is about remembering the new order that I spoke about on 2 of my videos. The new order where we flip the world, guys, and put those who we value, those who saved us, at the top of the food chain, and not the politicians at the top of the food chain, and not the stockbrokers at the top of the food chain, or the bankers. Yeah, they are not saving us right now. The people who are saving us, we all know who they are, including Mr. Thomas More, Captain Thomas More. So without further ado, guys, let me wish you guys a fantastic weekend. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be taking Sunday off and I'll be back on Monday. Monday's show is going to be fantastic. Keep an eye out for it. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.